Hello everyone, my name is the Ultimate Spy, and welcome to another episode of Reviewed number 168. And today, I'm going to be reviewing the movie Captain Underpants, the first epic movie.
Dreamworks Animation presents.
So what did I think of Captain Underpants, the first epic movie? Well, honestly, I loved it. I think it was a fantastic book-to-movie film, and it was just great. I loved everything about it. It was translated really, really well. It was funny. It was wonderfully animated, and it broke the fourth wall quite a few times, actually. Although, being a DreamWorks film, it was kind of a departure from its traditional animation style, especially with the eyes and stuff like that. But, I feel like if they were to make a Captain Underpants movie in live action, it just would not work. I mean, imagine that. That would just be weird and cringeworthy and silly and stupid, but no. This was fantastic as animation. This was just fantastic. There's no other way they would have been able to do a Captain Underpants movie. I mean, I remember, I didn't really grow up on them. I just kind of read them as, like, a teenager, I just kind of, like, get them from the library or whatever, just read them. And they were super fun, super silly, full of potty humor and poop jokes, all that kind of stuff that young audiences find funny. And honestly, they translated it so well into this movie, especially as a computer animated film. I mean, for the follow-up series on Netflix, they had a more traditional 2D animated art style for the television series, which was the follow-up, which is interesting because the How to Train Your Dragon series is the same style of animation as the movies, which is very interesting. But yeah, overall, I thought this movie was fantastic. It was really funny, really cute, really silly. DreamWorks did a really good job at bringing it to life, and it was just fantastic. There's no other way they would have been able to do it, or it would not have been good. I mean, this is like the best way to do it, and it ended up being amazing, and I loved it. And interestingly enough, it was actually a competition for being released on the 2nd, which is the same day the Wonder Woman came out. So it kind of like having two superhero movies come out the same day, except one of them was a more traditional superhero movie, and this one was just like a kid's movie that happened to have a superhero in it. And you kind of imagine what the majority of people would actually want to go see, that being Wonder Woman. And I mean, again, DreamWorks made the movie, so it's just they abandoned the traditional art style and animation style that they usually use to kind of like the cartoony style as in the books, which is kind of the idea. It's supposed to be kind of comic booky kind of idea, where everyone has like black eyes and it's that kind of style. But yeah, no, it was a super fun movie, and I really did enjoy it. I had a really good time watching this movie, especially with the voice acting of the character models. They only have 4 fingers, and they're not even like proper fingers. They don't have like nails or anything like that. They're just like they're 4 fingers, kind of like with the Fairly Odd Parents have the same thing, where I think even Jimmy Neutron have the same amount of fingers. It's like really cartoony. But yeah, I think the opening sequence was really great because the DreamWorks logo, I'm pretty sure DreamWorks, they started with the Shrek franchise like that. That was their first like computer animated franchise, and they have like that intro theme. What was interesting and unique about this particular one was not only was the movie breaking the fourth wall a lot because of George and Harold, but also the beginning they're humming the intro, which is really silly. It's just like the most unusual way to start a movie because they do break the fourth wall quite a bit in this movie, which is fantastic. It's kind of like Deadpool a little bit. Yeah, I just love that. That was fantastic, and they just kind of like are like from DreamWorks Animation. It's like really good way to break the fourth wall. Kind of like with Lego Batman. They did the same thing with that, where Batman, instead of the logos of the movie that was being played, it was a really interesting way to do it. But I definitely liked how Captain Underpants was done in this movie. Again, the characters look exactly like they do from the books. They're obviously just 3D computer animated, but they look exactly the same. In fact, a lot of the time they have references from the books that in terms of the art style, like because the 2D art style, the hand-drawn art style, they have a lot of references from the books, which is fantastic. And so they make up a very, very silly origin story. Has to do with an underpants world. It gets really silly, and it kind of borrows the same thing from Superman in terms of how he got to Earth, all that stuff or whatever. It's a very silly thing, and just in general, they do kind of joke around at comic book superheroes like, oh, everyone knows that superheroes look like they're wearing underpants. That was obviously meant to make fun of Superman, but in general, it's fantastic. This movie, it's so silly and so funny, and just in general, it's a joy to watch, really, and I loved it. But in general, it's a very very unique approach to taking a book series for kids and turning it into an animated movie. I mean, it's like there's no way they would have been able to get away with making it live action. I mean, imagine that. It would not work. It would look terrible. But again, they translated it well. The voice acting was good. I think this is the first movie that I'd seen Kevin Hart in, because I didn't know about the actor at all, really. There's a lot of movies where apparently the actor's been known for a while, but I just never saw them in the movie. It was like the first time I saw them, so I recognized his voice, and then of course I saw Jumanji, and that was like the next thing I saw him in. I feel like Captain Underpants and Mr. Crab were handled differently in this movie as compared to the books. I don't know if the books were different in terms of how he flies, because in the movie he they kind of made the story a bit different. I feel like that's what they did, because I haven't read the books in a while, but in my experience, Captain Underpants can't actually fly. Like, it's written that he can fly, but he can't actually fly in the movie until like the very end when he gains the superpowers from like this liquid stuff, this green liquid stuff, and then he gets the superpowers of like flight and able to shoot underwear, kind of like how Superman was able to shoot parts of his shield at enemies in the old movies from the 70s and 80s. I thought the funniest moment was definitely when George and Harold were trying to just basically distract one of the teachers in like the reception for the principal's office, I guess like the secretary or something like that, and they do a prank where they trick the woman into thinking that she could win $1 billion if she stays on line and stays on hold, and they put the phone to some wait music, and it was just like, and then the entire film was like that. And then at the very end of the movie, you have George and Harold realize she's been on hold for the entire movie, and it's like, because she's like, oh, I want to win $1 billion, and so she stays on hold for the entire movie, and then they're like, oh, probably should fix that. So they finally call like, oh, thank you for waiting, and she's like, oh no, and then she ends up hanging up, and then she's like, Captain Underpants and the attack of the on hold lady. It was probably the funniest part of this movie. I just loved it. It was fantastic. Yeah, no, that was a really funny moment. I really loved that. That's one of my favorite parts of the movie that really made me laugh. But also, there's a point that kind of references Marvel Comics, where Mr. Krupp, at the carnival he ordered, apparently, he dips his face in cotton candy, like a cotton candy machine. He takes it out, and the cotton candy has appeared on his face in the shape of Electro's mask. Now, Electro from Marvel Comics, which is really cool Easter egg. Running gag cut the movie was I think that was in the books too, where they would snap the fingers and Mr. Krupp would turn into Captain Underpants, and then they would flash water on him and it would be turned back. But another really good moment was when Mr. Krupp, I think it's in his personality as Captain Underpants, because he somehow didn't change, which is in his personality as Captain Underpants without the cape and all that stuff. And he just pours a sack of sugar on some kids and they go crazy. It's like, oh yeah, that's what sugar would really do to you. But it's hilarious. I mean, that was great. And I love the music at the end. That song, I did not expect it to be Weird Al Yankovic. I actually don't know much about the singer, but I know he's famous and he's a pretty amazing singer. And he's done a lot of great music videos. But yeah, he did the Captain Underpants original song at the very end of the movie, which is fantastic. And yeah, the whole movie does set up for the TV show. There's a TV show that follows this, like I mentioned before, that's basically, I think they adapted just the first book, of course, adapt the other books into the TV show with a different art style. I don't know why they did that, but specifically for this movie, they decided they wanted to do that. But yeah, overall, I love the hell out of this movie. This is a fantastic movie. It was really, really good. I really don't have anything against it, really. It was done differently than the books, just a little bit, in terms of the backstory. And I feel like they treated Emily just go pretty well with it being like a prison, essentially. It was like a fantastic way to do it. And I will admit, I thought the lunch lady and Mr. Krupp's kind of romance kind of thing, that was a cute little thing, because Mr. Krupp is normally very, very mean, but when he interacts with Edith, this lunch lady, he is very nice suddenly, and they end up going on a date, and it's just a really cute thing. But it was well done, honestly. They surprised me, and oftentimes kids books like these don't translate particularly well. And I'm so glad they didn't do it as a live action. I mean, imagine that. It would have been weird. It wouldn't have worked. It basically as if they came off the books, and it it was great. So yeah, that's pretty much all I can say about Captain Underpants. So I'm gonna leave this movie with a 10 out of 10. I really didn't have anything against it, really. I didn't have any issues with it, really. They had all the characters from the books, everything like that. That's pretty much all I'm going to say about this movie, and I'm gonna leave it there. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Reviewed. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the like button. I really appreciate it. And if you're new to this channel, subscribe for more episodes of this series and of the series that I do and specific content. Also, make sure you click that bell to enable alerts so you don't miss any of my uploads. And I'll be back next week with another episode. Alright? See ya.